Continues to develop robust strategy to flatten the curve. Our reporter Mark Kimondo begins our bulletin tonight with this report.
The country's positivity rate has increased to 7.9% from the initial 2.0. The figure is based on the 31,000 case load and sample sizes examined in the last 34 weeks. This meaning that the COVID-19 curve is rising instead of flattening. However, the global benchmark from the World Health Organization advises a rate of 5% or lower for at least 14 days as a measure of decline of the pandemic. According to the Pan-African Medical Journal, the institutionalization of strong immunization services over recent years has ensured that today more than 70% of the world's targeted population is reached. In Kenya, approximately 77% of children aged between 12 to 23 months are fully vaccinated. However, according to Health CS Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, immunization rates have declined during this time of COVID-19. The Ministry of Health has confirmed that immunization services are going on in health facilities in the country, and therefore parents are advised to ensure that their children who are 10 years and below receive HPV vaccination. The government is still engaging in different discussions on how to access the COVID-19 vaccine. In today's COVID-19 cases, the country recorded 426 new COVID-19 cases after a sample of 5,160 was examined, taking the cumulative COVID-19 cases in the country to 31,441. Out of the new 426 COVID cases, 417 were Kenyans while 9 were foreigners. Meanwhile, 257 patients have recovered from the disease, bringing the total number of recoveries in the country to 17,869. 195 of those discharged were from the home-based program, while 62 were discharged from various health facilities. However, on a sad note, 10 more patients have succumbed to the virus, raising the country's fatalities to 516. Nairobi recorded the highest at 132, followed by Kajiado with 63, Kericho 48, Kiambu 24, with Machakos, Migori, Mombasa recording 21, 17 and 16 respectively. With the curve rising daily, Kenyans are cautioned to remain vigilant even as the government tries to keep the disease at bay. Mark Kimondo, Newswatch, Nairobi.
As medics in the country continue to fight for their rights in the middle of a pandemic, 17 healthcare workers' unions have issued a strike notice over the delay in pay and what they say is negligence of the welfare of their members by the employer. The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairperson Peterson Washira has called on the government to meet their demands, arguing that healthcare workers are using substandard personal protective equipment. Our reporter Joseph Maingi has the story.
It is on a Saturday that we want to say we want to stop lamenting and we want to act.
The union has now given an ultimatum of 21 days, failure to which they'll make good their threats and proceed on strike from the 10th of next month if their demands are not met.
We will be able to start our strike on 10th if our demand will not have been met. So I wish to say, as a matter of now beseeching the government, that you have good time to ensure that this is done. We went on the table after you asked us to go on the table.
Led by the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers Chairperson Peterson Washira, the union claim that only 20.9% of healthcare workers have been trained, adding that most of them are not using the right personal protective equipment.
It is unfortunate to note that despite our numerous calls for training to be done vigorously at the start of the pandemic, only 21% of the healthcare workers have been trained so far. As of our colleagues who have succumbed to the disease, none has been compensated so far, and there are no plans in place for their compensation to happen.
Washira has accused the government of intimidation and victimizing workers.
We saw in Migori, one of our NEC member for Kenya Union of Clinical Officers who contracted coronavirus in line of duty, became symptomatic, was put in an isolation under pathetic conditions. When he came out in the media to tell his story, to tell the challenges that made him contract, to say about the environment in the isolation centers, the quality of care he received. He was given a show cause letter that they want to suspend him.
The unions are now demanding that Kenya medics who are vulnerable to COVID-19 be released from active duty, adding that they have been calling for the government to address their grievances, which have seemed to be falling on deaf ears. The union officials have also warned that they will not be complacent to subjecting or sacrificing vulnerable healthcare workers to the risk of contracting and succumbing to COVID-19, noting that at least 850 healthcare workers in the country have been exposed to the virus, and 16 of them have already succumbed as a result.
We cannot negotiate on matters pertaining the sanctity of the life of our members and colleagues. Allowing the status quo to continue is akin to accepting that it is to sacrifice medics when indeed this can be avoided.
The unions has further critiqued the government, saying that during their daily briefings, officials are always thanking healthcare workers, yet they have nothing securing their welfare.
The announcement by Mr. Mutahi Kagwe, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, who is the CS, does not actually bring the picture on what is happening on the ground. The healthcare workers are working under very dire situation.
The workers have also singled out salary delays in several counties as a major concern amidst the fight against the pandemic.
We are experiencing the pain in a manner that our members are going several months without any pay. They are not able to meet to eat, to buy food, to commute to work, and even to dress properly as professionals.
What will happen if we do not take affirmative action now is that you will not even see health workers go on strike. They will refuse to go to hospitals.
Joseph Maingi, Newswatch in Nairobi.
Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru said the raids conducted on her homes by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission is political witch hunt. In a statement, Waiguru said the raid is all about 2022 politics in the Mount Kenya region. Waiguru confirming that the EACC detectives were looking for evidence in her official residence, her private home and her office in Kutu, said that documents evidencing travel or refunds where no travel took place had earlier been presented to the EACC. Dickens Luvanda has the report.
Detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission EACC for the better part of Thursday morning camped at Governor Anne Waiguru's homes and offices in search of crucial documents linking the governor.
Saa zingine tuongee ukweli. Tuongee nini?
On corruption allegations. By 6 a.m., detectives had already arrived at Anne Waiguru's posh rural home at Kagio village in Kirinyaga County, where they ransacked it for hours in search of the crucial documents as EACC vehicles parked at the entrance. A similar search was also conducted at Waiguru's 2 homes in Nairobi, including offices, a few months after the governor survived an impeachment motion after Kirinyaga MCS accused her of gross misconduct and runaway corruption. At Waiguru's offices at Kutu sub-county headquarters, EACC officers were seen carrying away computers from the offices. A statement from Twalib Mbarak, the EACC chief executive officer, confirmed the raid on Waiguru's residence and offices, saying the anti-graft body is investigating allegations that Governor Waiguru alongside other county staff were irregularly paid travel allowances amounting to 23 million shillings, monies that were reportedly spent on non-existent trips. Mbarak said that EACC is in the process of establishing whether the trips were actually undertaken and whether the documents supporting the disbursement of the 23 million shillings to the county officials were true. The raid, EACC said, had been approved by the Nyeri Chief Magistrate Court, which issued search warrants against Waiguru and other staff with an aim to retrieve information that may be useful to EACC's investigation.
Na tuache kufundishana kukoseana heshima.
Waiguru has since responded to the raid, saying there was no need of armed police officers to wake her up in search of documents which could be easily availed to the EACC. She has dismissed claims of 23 million shillings figure that is said to have been lost, saying during her impeachment proceedings, allegations were that there had been irregularities amounting to 10 million shillings. The governor, in a statement, further termed the investigations as a decoy and a well-scripted script in relation to the 2022 Kirinyaga succession politics. Dickens Luvanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
In other news, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has ruled out the possibility of learning institutions reopening soon. Magoha says only a few institutions, both public and private, have achieved the bare minimum set by the Ministry of Health on curbing the spread of COVID-19 in institutions of learning. Magoha was speaking to journalists at the Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology after inspecting the facility, where he said the university will continue having an acting vice-chancellor after the court ruled that the status quo be maintained after an interview to find the next VC was challenged in court. This comes as most universities and technical training institutions are in the process of finalizing COVID-19 health requirements before reopening.
Now, the option to community learning is to wait until January 2021. Which one do you prefer? Which one do you prefer? It is like whether we go this side, we are wrong. Whether we go this side, we are wrong. Where are you? And the children are yours. We can't open schools until Corona is under control. That one you can take to the bank. We have got the Parents Association led by Mr. Mayo, who has consulted all the parents in this country, and the parents have said for the upteenth time that Corona must be controlled, the curve must flatten before they allow their children to go back to school. The Public Service Commission conducted interviews, identified the Vice Chancellor, 3 of them, so that the Council would appoint one. But before the Council could appoint one, after consultation, some busybodies went to court and actually pointed something out which was very serious, that the former chair of Council participated in the interview.
And county governments have been challenged to be accountable on public funds at a time senators are fighting tooth and nail for the devolved units to get more allocation from the National Treasury. Citing the ongoing stalemate on revenue allocation formula at the Senate Assembly, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka says no county should lose in the current allocation and urged devolved units to account for every shilling allocated to them. But Troba Juang has the report.
County governments have been challenged against misappropriation of public funds at a time senators are fighting tooth and nail for the devolved units to get more allocation from the National Treasury. Citing the ongoing stalemate on revenue allocation formula in the Senate, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka says senators are fighting to ensure no county loses in the current allocation, hence the need to safeguard every shilling allocated for development in all the 47 counties.
The whole thing is about the reality of devolution in this country. And I keep on saying, please do not have a situation where senators are fighting each other, fighting everybody, only for governors to receive the money and then they misappropriate it. We create billionaires out of public money. These things are very painful.
Kalonzo, who spoke after being joined by nominated MP Maina Kamanda and Kenya Invest Authority former Dagoretti South parliamentarian Dennis Waweru during the event to receive food donations from Mwingi professionals towards the Kalonzo Musyoka Foundation KMF food basket, also challenged county governors to take an active role in helping alleviate the suffering that Kenyans are going through these difficult times of COVID-19 pandemic. Kalonzo says apart from the 300-bed capacity requirement and other health-related matters, governors should realize that there are more Kenyans who've lost their livelihoods and are now suffering due to lack of food and other basic necessities.
I think that county government could also be doing a lot to assist in this effort. Just apart from making sure that they have the 300 beds for those who are very sick or eventually whatever, but they should also be looking at what the people are doing and assisting them the best way they can. So this is a collective effort.
On matters regarding post-COVID-19 economic reconstruction, Kalonzo says over and above the declaration of Mombasa as a free port, Kitui County should also be considered a mining county due to its vast coal deposits, which he says, if explored, will create a lot of jobs for Kenyans.
My vision is to declare the whole of Kitui and Mwingi, that zone, a special economic zone. That is how we'll create jobs. That's how we're going to make Mwingi a mining city. This is how we are going. This is a vision.
Patrobo Juang, Hope TV Newswatch.
And with that report from Patrobo Juang, let's now take a short commercial break on Newswatch. We'll be back with more stories making headlines in the country. Keep it holding.
Welcome to Rafiki Gardens along Kangondo Road by HopeTvKenya. This is an ideal and affordable piece of investment that is strategically placed within the Nairobi metropolis. Rafiki Gardens is close to key social amenities like schools, banks, and shopping malls. This project comes with ready title deeds, Maram roads, and a marking fence round the property. Get a plot at only 695,000 Kenya shillings cash price. You can also pay a 50% deposit and pay the rest in 6 months installments. Call us today on 0702 8310 83 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Join us every Sunday for unlimited, uplifting, powerful worship, only on Extended Worship.
Welcome back to Hope TV Newswatch. Defense Cabinet Secretary Dr. Monica Juma has assured Kenyan citizens of the safety of the country's airspace. Speaking to journalists at a Malindi Hotel during a tour of military installation and the San Marco Space Center in Ngomeni, Juma said the airspace was becoming an important part in the development enterprise of Kenya and the entire humanity. Juma said the Space Center at Ngomeni will assist in supporting world space missions, adding that the station had made Kenya to be one of the most respected countries in the provision of leadership in space matters.
As a country, we are one of the very few countries that have a space program, and this is because the space is becoming an important part of the development enterprise of not just Kenya, but the entire humanity. We sit with a very important asset that is assisting and supporting all the space missions around the world. And so we are here to have a look at the programs there. It's very important in terms of building our competencies as a space nation. And this sits at the MOD desk. So that is why I'm here. To Kenyans is to tell them that we are part of the countries that are most respected, that are providing global leadership in this and other areas, including peace and security. You know that we are assuming our seat in the UN Security Council in a short while, from 2021 to 2022. And this region, the Horn of Africa, the Indian Ocean Rim, is one of the key areas.
A community-based organization in Siaya County has decried high teenage pregnancies in the region and called on locals to join hands in ending the vice. According to Hilary Were, Director of Physical and Psychosocial Development Organization, Kenya, the over 5,000 teenage pregnancies recorded in the county needs the intervention of all the stakeholders. Hilary Were was speaking at Konya Primary School grounds in East Ugenya location during the launch of a mentorship program for girls in the area.
Today, we are here to strengthen education during this COVID-19. And yesterday we trained 40 girls from Katiano C sub-location in Ugenya sub-county. And the 40 girls were trained on varieties of issues, COVID being one of them, and teens pregnancy, values, and how they can be able to cope up with others and parents during this pandemic period. Today, we have more than 200 girls who are being mentored by the 40 girls whom we trained yesterday. And I'm happy that this has turned to be a success. The girls were very confident. They were able to train others on issues of COVID, values, and how they can take care of this themselves.
And the Ministry of Public Service Chief Administrative Secretary Rachel Shebesh has called on youths and women in the country to take government loans, assuring of enough repayment periods. Shebesh said the government is cognizant of the difficult times Kenyans are going through and called on Kenyans to apply for the Affirmative Action Fund, saying it will go a long way to cushion them against the negative effects of coronavirus pandemic. The CAS was speaking while donating food, sanitizer, masks and other essentials to widows at the NYS headquarters.
Hii pesa tumeongea juu yake saa hii na mumeona CEOs wetu wale wanasimamia. Hii pesa iko, najua wengine mmepata, lakini tunaweza peana mingi saa hii kushinda before. Na vile tunapeana hii pesa saa hii, Professor Margaret Kopi ametuambia saa hii ya corona tusikimbishe wamama sana na kulipa. Ni kweli? Because everybody is going through hard time. So right now ukipata Women Enterprise Fund ama uwezo ama ngafu, we will give you a grace period because of the corona. So hata kama mmepata hizi pesa nyinyi wa mama mko hapa, can I assure you wale wengi ndio hawajapata na hawajaziona. Please be aggressive kama Diana. Kueni sumbua kama Diana for the sake of the other widows who are not here. Tuko pamoja?
All right, let's take another short commercial break. When we come back, of course, we'll be looking at stories making headlines in business. Stay with Hope TV.
Dunia ni mali ya Bwana na vyote vijazavyo.
Nguruwe ni mali ya Bwana au?
Ni mali ya Bwana.
Bata ni mali ya Bwana?
Ni mali.
Wewe kula basi. Acha mambo mengi.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Muislamu yoyote ambaye anamkataa Yesu, kwanza sisi tunamjua ni kafiri.
Bila huyu Yesu, mtu aendi kwa Baba.
Ungana na walimu wa neno wanapochambua masuala tata katika Biblia, wakiyalinganisha na vitabu vingine vya kidini.
Je, kuna ushahidi wowote Muhammad aliwahi ona Qur'ani? Na hii Qur'ani muliitoa wapi? Halo?
Piga simu moja kwa moja na pia uchangie kupitia SMS na Facebook.
Itawezekana kitabu cha Biblia ambaye mwanakiamini kuwa ni kitabu cha Mwenyezi Mungu ishindwe kumtabiri mtu ambaye ana wafuasi zaidi ya bilioni 100 duniani.
Je, Muhammad amekufa ama yuko hai?
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 2 hadi saa 4 ya usiku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Hope TV.
Welcome back. Young people have been told to value healthy business partnerships to ensure success in their businesses and SMEs. Our reporter Grace Wangui had a conversation with Gold Avenue Africa Managing Director, who said that young people are over-ambitious and want to make quick money to become rich. According to Gold Avenue Africa, the mentality of get rich quickly is catastrophic.
Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful, is a quote by Warren Buffett that can guide one to make the right decision on the direction to take in our current situation. When stocks are down, the economy is not doing well globally, and it ultimately seems like an inappropriate time to invest money that you should otherwise be holding on to, even as times continue to be unpredictable. We speak to Samuel Kuria, Managing Director of Gold Avenue Africa, which is involved in investing in creative solutions with a transformative impact. In light of the pandemic that has affected all avenues of making money and ultimately making it difficult to invest, Samuel breaks down why investing during this time has major perks.
Currently, a lot of schools are on sale, so a lot of buyers are coming into the country to buy schools. A lot of properties on sale, a lot of shares currently are great to buy. So it's a buyer's market. As opposed to what people may think, people may look at it as it's not a good time to participate in the market, I want to pull back. But there's a saying that says, that's in the market that says, be greedy when people are fearful, and be fearful when people are greedy. When people are shy, it's time to get out there and explore. When people are exorbitant, it's time to pull back and reflect because it may be too late to buy.
We are living in times when a majority of the population wants to quickly access wealth without actually working hard towards it. This in turn has affected how the successes of others can negatively affect the decisions people make. This could include purchasing a car out of pressure to fit in or living beyond one's means of income. Samuel Kuria, who prefers to be called SK, adding his voice in the matter of taking loans for consumption rather than for growth, explains what a good loan is and what essentially is a bad debt.
Unless you're buying a car at this time to be able to make you more efficient in your work, so it's an asset in that way, or you may be buying it to put it as a cab hailing service that will bring something back to you. But if you're just doing it for show, it may not be the best thing to do, especially at such times where people don't really care so much how the look and feel of life is. People now are pushed by this pandemic to come to the place of functionality. Why do I need this item and what will it bring into my life? Then a good debt is the one that grows you by bringing you an inflow. A bad debt is the one that is just an outflow but will bring nothing back, yet you have to pay for it.
A study by the central bank in April revealed that about 75% of small and micro enterprises will not survive the pandemic as they did not have resources for sustenance during a slowdown occasioned by the pandemic. In Kenya, our economy is run by SMEs, which employ millions of Kenyans. However, the prevailing times have crippled SMEs' growth and threatened the survival of many more. What hope do SMEs have during this time?
Nonetheless, there is a saying that we use, and we say, they can take your fruit, but they cannot take your fruitfulness. Yeah, you still have the productivity inside of you. Instead of competing with the circumstance, create. Yeah, creation is the only way for us to be able to progress forward. When something has been disrupted, we create, and that's the best advice I could give to anyone, because many people are affected, not just in Kenya but all over the world. But we just have to bring ourselves to a place of realizing that we carry fruitfulness inside of us, and we can only release it by being creative.
Grace Angoi for Hope TV Newswatch.
And suppliers of food and other essential items to institutions of learning have decried the negative effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Most traders have found alternative ways of selling their merchandise, with some registering huge losses due to schools' closure. Joe Jesse has more.
Private schools and universities in the country have been a fertile ground to make money for suppliers of consumables and other goods. However, the closure of such schools and universities in the country has rendered most of the suppliers destitute, with others resorting to dispose their stock at a loss. According to Jacko Yeko, a sole proprietor of Book Shine High School, a private school in Nairobi, with the demand for such cut, suppliers have been forced to resort into other businesses, registering huge loss margins.
We had people who were supplying us with, stuff, food supply. We talk about different food supply that were coming in. in the school. And with the stop of schools 5 months ago, obviously these guys have been adversely affected because it's obvious that their business had to come to a standstill. We were buying ungangano, talk about beans, stuff like that. And the people who are supplying us have adversely been affected. I just met a few of them just a few days ago, and they were telling me how much they are really getting the effect of the COVID-19.
The circulation of the money within the education sector has been cut as schools receive no fees from parents who equally have little at their disposal.
I believe private schools is one of the sectors that have been adversely affected. And most of Joe, that some schools have been closed down, all right, because they couldn't continue paying their rent. So others are still struggling. Of course, they had agreements with the landlord, but even the agreements are not working because time is really going by.
According to Nicholas Njogu, who before the pandemic supplied Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology JKUAT with vegetables, the oversupply and low demand of the perishables, as many Kenyans resort to farming during this time to make ends meet, is less lucrative than the direct tenders.
Nilikuwa supply JKUAT tani moja per week. Currently saizi wao wamefunga, hakuna kitu wanachukua hata moja. So yote inabidi tulete kwa soko. Sababu ukija nao kwa soko hakuna wanunuzi juu. Saizi unajua order za shule hakuna. Hakuna demand. Sasa unakuja unakaa hapa hivi unapata mteja mmoja less than an hour, unapata one person or two. Wako tu lakini wanasema chakula hiyo hata mwenye unauzia bado unapata hajauza. Nilikuwa nimebeba chakula 25,000 na nimeuza shilingi 4,000 peke yake, hata gari haikulipa. Nimelipa kanjo analipisha 2,000. Hiyo ndio parking fee ya huko. Gari zimeuza 4,000. Gari ni 6,000. Saizi hata nimeenda loss ya almost 8,000 kwa hii gari sasa.
Oyeko, who says that the private schools will be faced with the daunting task of kickstarting their businesses, as most of the schools which are still operational resort to settling huge debt, urged the government to step in and save the sector.
We would request that if the government can come in to help us with some grants, for example, Bookshan, we were paying rent. We have huge rent arrears right now. So if they can come with some grant or even a loan, so to speak, that would be of great help for us.
Kama unaweza sasa fungua ma institution hata kama hata fungua zote wafungue the institution, ma college na ma universities, biashara itarudi because those are our biggest customers.
Reporting for Hope TV News Watch, I'm Joe Jesse.
The Kenya Revenue Authority KRA's revenue collection in the 2019-2020 financial year has reached a new record with 1.607 trillion shillings. This represents a revenue growth of 1.7% compared to previous year. For the year July 2019 to June 2020, the taxman has defied the odds in the COVID-19, exceeding the previous year where it collected 1.580 trillion shillings. However, the taxman has fallen short by about 275 billion shillings, forcing the government to borrow more. KRA Commissioner General Gidhi Mburu says the projected GDP growth of between 1.5% and 2.3% in 2020 is a match for the results. The National Treasury had given KRA a 1.88 trillion shilling tax target to fund part of the 2.8 trillion shilling budget. However, the taxman fell by 275 billion, forcing the government to borrow more. According to the results, the exchequer revenue grew by 2.2%, with a collection of 1.510 trillion shillings compared to 1.477 trillion shillings collected in 2018-2019 financial year. Separately, the Domestic Taxes Department (DTD) grew by 4% to 1.092 trillion shillings. Customs and Border Control registered a reduction of 2.8%, registering a total amount of 510.63 billion shillings. And tax income alone were 354 billion shillings, registering a plunge of 81.5 billion shillings between 3 months of March and June. Revenue collection by ministries' appropriations in aid also fell by 13.9 billion shillings to a total of 160.2 billion shillings. Okay, with that story, we've come to the end of this live broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. I'll see you again tomorrow same time. My name is Tonny Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night and God bless.